Hello guys, this is Abhishek Manjani. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video, I'm going to address a common concern or a common assumption that people make about being placed in the top tech-based companies. So I will try to make this video full of facts and information so that you guys are able to relate and this video can help you a lot. So the assumption that people make about being placed in top tech-based companies is that only data structures and algorithms is the only necessity to get a good internship or a good placement. So I completely disagree with this. I know data structures and algorithms is the necessity for getting into a good company, but it is not the sufficient thing. There are other skills and other information that plays a major role in order to get through the entire process. So let me first discuss about some of my instances in order to help you relate with this. During my internship season, I was quite prepared for getting an internship. I have participated in multiple contests and held multiple great ranks. I qualified for Google Code Jam round 2. I reached Snackdown pre-elimination round. I was a 5-star coder on Code Chef, and I had around 1200 to 1500 submissions. So technically, I was a good coder at that stage. So I thought that I would be able to get a good internship in the very beginning, but I was rejected from first 7 companies I appeared for. Finally, in the 8th company that I appeared, I was able to get an internship. I struggled for the entire year in order to get a good internship, and finally, at the end of the season, I was able to crack an internship at Amazon. Another friend of mine, he got an internship at Microsoft and currently hold the full-time offer with Microsoft. He was not able to solve the problems in the coding round, and in one of the coding round, he failed to solve the problem, coin change problem, which is the standard dynamic problem. It is a very easy problem, but still, he wasn't able to solve the problem. So both he and I learned from our mistakes, and currently I hold offers from multiple companies, and he also holds an offer from Microsoft. So I will discuss about 3 basic things that I found was lacking when I was appearing for the internships and placements. So let's begin with the first thing. The first thing is the coding round. Coding round, I have told in multiple videos that coding round plays a very important role in the entire process. Most of the people are eliminated in the coding round itself. So the thing that was tricky about the coding round is you are given with around 3 to 4 problems to solve. The problems are of varying difficulty level, and you have around 60 to 90 minutes to solve the problems. So obviously, it is not possible for anyone to solve the problem if they are a little bit hard or requires a little higher concept or understanding. Then it is not possible for anyone to solve the problems in the given time frame. So the first step is to analyze the problems that are being given, analyze the situation that is, analyze the time that is being given to us. So while solving a problem, you must be seeing that suppose let us take an example. You find a problem that uses a higher concept of segment trees, and and you have solved the problem in before the coding round, and you know that it is a lengthy problem and requires a 200 lines of code, but you will be able to code in the given time frame. So you start with the coding, and till the end of the coding round, you are able to solve the problem, and you get a complete score in that problem. The other person who is sitting next to you, what he does it, he writes a brute force solution for this problem. It is a 40 to 50 line of code, and he maybe takes 15 minutes to write the brute force solution. He is able to get a score of 60 to 70 out of 100 in this problem. In the time that has been left, he solved the second problem partially. So automatically, his score is more than yours, and he is qualifying. And despite you solve the entire problem, you are not qualifying. So this analysis is very important. You must analyze how much time it will take to solve a problem, and how many problems are actually there. What you should do. This is very important. Second thing is you are suppose addressing a very simple problem. You have solved it before, and it is a very simple problem, and you are making a very silly mistake in that. So what you do is, in order to solve the problem completely, you are stuck in that problem, and you waste the entire coding round or the entire duration of the coding round in order to find the solution or to fix the small mistake that you are making. Suppose you were just sorting the array in ascending order, and you were required to sort it in descending order, and you are not able to figure out this mistake throughout the round. So you wasted the entire round for just a single problem, and you are not able to read the second problem, third problem, and fourth problem. Instead, maybe it is possible that the first problem was a bit tricky, or the edge cases were there in that problem, or the test cases were strong for that problem. And maybe if you tried the second problem may be very easy, but you were not able to read the problem because of the time constraint. So these are the some mistakes that people make. Uh, Let me discuss about coding round that I gave. So there was a coding round. There, the question was very tricky and tough. It was a graph question, and I didn't know the solution to the problem. Instead of thinking about the actual solution or thinking about how to solve the problem, what I observed was that the answer will be either 0 or 1 or 2. So there are three possible answers. What I did was I tried printing each one of the answers and saw the maximum test cases passed when I printed 2. So I was able to get a score of 55 out of 100, and one of my friend was stuck for the round in order to get the solution to this problem, and he wasn't able to solve the problem, and I qualified by giving a wrong solution, by giving a error containing solution, or by making use of some tricks in order to get through the round. Another coding round that I gave was it was a recursion problem that can be optimized using dynamic programming. What I did was I wrote the simple recursion for that and submitted the solution. Fortunately, it was able to pass all the test cases. The test cases were weak and it was able to pass all the test cases. Other people were stuck in optimizing the problem, trying to make use of dynamic programming, how to apply dynamic programming to this problem, and wasted the entire time in that only. So these are some of the cases that happened to me, and I would advise you to first analyze the problems that are being given when you are participating in a coding round. You must analyze how many problems you need to solve to qualify, which problem you should take in order to qualify, whether the problem that you are reading is a good problem or it is not a good problem to solve. So these are some of the things you must keep in mind while participating in the coding round. So in the second step, we are going to discuss about how to face a problem that is being given to you and how to address it when it is asked in a technical interview or a face-to-face interview. So I have taken this problem from lead code. The name of the problem is Maximal Square. The problem is you are given with a 2D matrix and you have to find the largest square that contains only ones, and you have to return its area. So in the given example, the largest square that contains only one is this one. So therefore the area and the output is 4. So the first step when you are approaching a problem is to find the unknowns. The interviewer will intentionally miss certain things that he is expecting you to ask. This shows that your alertness, how alert are you, and shows how well you can think about the problem that is assigned to you. So the first thing, for example, in this problem, you can ask is whether the given input is a square matrix or an n cross m matrix. The second thing that you can ask the interviewer is that whether the input that's been given contains 1 and 0, or in other words it is a binary matrix, or in general it can contain other integers as well. So these things the interviewer is expecting you to ask. If you miss these things, then it will have a negative impact on your interview. So let us assume that it is a let me write let us assume that it is a n cross m matrix and it is a binary matrix for now. Yes, so now how to address the problem? There are two basic scenarios that are possible while you are addressing a problem. The first thing is you have seen the problem, you have solved the problem, and you know the solution of the problem. You have solved this problem before and you know the exact solution to solve this problem. So in this case, what you should do? One, so the common mistake that people make is that they directly jump to the solution, they start writing the code, and the interviewer is not impressed by this because they understand they have been taking the interviews from years and they understand that you have already solved the problem and there is no big need to solve the problem again. So in most of the scenarios, The interviewer expect you to build the solution to the problem while you are participating in the interview. So they do not want you to jump to the direct solution from the very beginning. They want you to think about the problems. They want to see your logical abilities. They want to see your problem solving abilities and how you are able to explain your logic to the interviewer. So this is what the interviewer is actually expecting. So let's consider the case you know the solution to the problem. So what you will be doing is you will be first trying to solve the problem by a brute force approach. You will try to explain the interviewer about the brute force approach, its complexities, and how, and then think about the final solution or the optimal solution. So suppose if this problem was assigned to me in an interview, what I will be saying is, so I will tell the interviewer that I am thinking about the brute force solution in the very beginning. In the brute force solution, I am thinking to traverse over each and every submatrix or each and every square submatrix of this entire matrix and see whether it is filled with one or not. If it is filled with ones, I will find its area and all such, and I will try to find the maximal area from all such submatrices that satisfy the above condition. So this will solve the problem in around O of n raised to power 4 complexity around. So now the interviewer will ask you to optimize the problem. This shows that you are able to think about multiple approaches to the problem, and this leaves a positive impact on the interviewer. So the very first important thing is that you must try to keep the interviewer indulged with you. You must try to keep the interviewer like he is understanding each and everything that you are thinking and how you are reaching to a final solution. So he must be able to relate to each and every step that you are going through. So always think out loud. This plays a very important role because the interviewer is with you when you are discussing about the problem, and he is able to connect to the final solution that you are writing. Just writing the code and giving the final solution won't help you because the interviewer won't be able to understand that. So it's better to keep the interviewer with you. So another important thing that I would like to discuss is that before giving the final approach to the interviewer, think about it. Try to find the test cases that may fail this approach. Try to dry run the approach that you are thinking in your mind before reaching to the final approach or telling the approach to the interviewer. So, for example, you rush to the solution and gave the final approach, which had a small bug, but because of the time constraint, you just jump to the solution, and the interviewer is able to find that bug. Then it will leave a negative impact on your interview and not a positive one. So always try to dry run the test cases in your mind. Always try to think of the possible scenarios or the possible ways where your code can fail. And before reaching to the final approach or before explaining the final approach to the interviewer, think about it well. So now let's come back to our problem. Let's discuss about the final solution. So it is a standard dynamic programming problem, and the important thing is how will you address this problem or how will you explain the approach to this problem to the interviewer. So let's start. I require the largest square that can be formed at the cell just above it, that is I minus 1 comma j, the cell on the left that is I comma j minus 1, and the cell that is on the diagonally left upwards that is I minus 1 comma j minus 1. So with the help of these three things, I would be able to find the largest square that is possible at the cell I comma j. So this is how I can make use of the answers that are pre-computed and solve the problem at any given cell I comma j. So I can optimize the problem using dynamic programming, and I can compute the answer for each I comma j, where dp of I comma j represents largest square containing only one that can be created. So I will try to write the important points about the approach that I'm thinking in order to make it very clear to the interviewer. So now let's move to the solution to this problem or writing the code to this problem. So before we write the code to this problem, I would like to point out certain things that are very important. So if it is a face-to-face interview, then you will be writing the code to the problem in on a paper. So the readability of the code is obviously decreased when you are writing it on a paper. So you must ensure that you write a very neat code. You make use of comments. You make use of meaningful variable names in order to ensure that the code that you are writing is understandable and readable to the interviewer in the first code. You must try to write such a code so that it is very easy for the interviewer to understand the logic behind it, and you do not waste your time in explaining the logic to the interviewer. And if you are giving a online interview, then obviously you will be asked to write the code on a Google Doc, and in that scenario you must try to make use of comments, and again you must try to write a neat code and make use of functions, ensure modularity in order to ensure that the code is readable and the interviewer do not have any doubts in the code that you are writing. While writing the code, another thing that is very important is whenever you are introducing a variable in the code, you must try to explain while writing it, instead of writing the code for like taking 10 minutes and writing the entire code and then discussing about it. Rather, try to write the code with the flow and try to explain while you are writing the code. So let's begin, and I will try to make use of the tips that I provided in order to help, in order to like solve the problem. So I am writing a function named Maximal Square, which will try to find the answer to my problem. In this, I am given an array. I am assuming the maximum size of the array as 1000, 1000, because this is the maximum input size that is possible. Here, n is the number of rows in the matrix, and m is the number of columns in the matrix. I am creating an array called dp of size n plus 1 and n plus 1. I am initializing this dp to 0. I am doing this because the minimum possible square at any point is of size 0. So now, so first here the dp of I comma j denotes the maximum size square containing all ones, only one that can be created, considering that I will be taking cell I comma j. So let's begin. Now I will be looping over this. I will be looping over the entire matrix. If the value of the cell at I comma j is equal to 1, then only I will be considering it. Otherwise, the maximum size square that is possible containing all the ones will obviously be 0, because we cannot form a square using a 0 according to the constraint of the problem. So we have to solve the problem only in this condition. So dp of I comma j will be equal to minimum of the 3, that is the 3 cells that I was talking about, the cell just above me, the cell on the left of me, and the cell that is on the diagonal left of to me. So this is how the final solution will look like. Plus 1 for considering the cell I am standing at. In order to find the final answer, I will just iterate over this array and take the maximum of all the cells, maximum of all the squares that are formed, and that is the answer to my problem. And I will be simply returning the answer. So this will solve my problem is O of n into m time and space complexity. So this is how I will be proposing a problem or addressing the problem in a real interview. So obviously I'm not diving into the working of the problem or understanding the problem or explaining how the dynamic programming is used or how the recursion is used. My main focus is how to address this problem when it is asked in an interview. So let's move ahead and discuss about the second scenario that I was talking about. So in the first scenario, you knew about the problem and you have solved the problem before, and you know that you will be able to solve the problem at the end of the interview. So this is how you will be addressing in the first scenario. Now in the second scenario, you are given with a new problem that you have not solved before, and you don't have any idea about the solution to this problem. So how will you address such a problem? So there are two things that are possible in such a scenario. One thing that is possible is, suppose you are not prepared with the trees and you are given with a problem based on trees. So you have no idea about how to solve the problem, how to address a problem, because you have not practiced trees till yet. So in such a scenario, what you will be doing is, instead of wasting the time of the interview and like sitting idle for the entire hour, what you will be doing is, you will ask the interviewer that you don't know about the problem, you don't have any idea. So you will simply ask him to change the problem or switch to some other problem or some other concept, because you are not familiar with these. This may seem to be like weird, but in most of the cases it helps. If you are able to solve the second problem that has been assigned to you, then it leaves a positive impact. The second thing that is possible is that you have the idea about the problem, but you are not able to reach to the solution, and you are thinking hard, you are thinking about the problem, and you are like trying, but there is nothing striking in your head in order to solve the problem. So another thing that you can do is ask for hints. Interviewers are ready to give the hints. Simply ask the interviewer to give me some to give you some hint, and it leaves a very positive impact if you are able to solve the problem by picking up the hint that has been given by the interviewer. It shows that you are able to pick up the hints, you are able to build your solution logically on the hint that was provided to you, and it basically leaves a positive impact in the end if you are able to reach to the final solution with the help of the hint that is provided to you. So the third and the most important step that I want to discuss about is that most of the people think that data structures and algorithms is the everything that is being asked in the interview, but it is not the scenario. In some companies, the entire round is based on projects and subject knowledge. So projects and subject knowledge plays a very important role, and be prepared. You must know each and every line that is written in your resume. Also, you must have deep subject knowledge. This was the reason why many people fail. So based on my experiences, based on my understanding of the interviews, of numerous interviews that I have given, you must be prepared with these subjects, as these also play a very important role. So this is all for today. Thank you for watching my video. Do like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and do let me know if you have any doubts regarding this. Hope the content was useful and informative. Thanks a lot.